Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet, which I call the Basketcase bracelet, if I can just say it, because this little woven center bit looks a lot like a basket case. And so that's one where I did the center in like a 2-color scheme, and this is one where it's like a gradient. And so that's what the bracelet looks like. And next I'm going to explain the materials and how this thing is generally going to be made. So your materials, you're going to need 29 black bands for the middle of your bars. So if I look at this one here, you can kind of see, if you stretch it out, that there are these pink bands that are in between these little bars. And what I mean by bars is, you'll see this later when we get to making the bracelet, is that like right here, this black and white piece right here, is one bar. And so that's a bar, and then you're gonna make individual different little bars. So that's one bar, this here is another bar, keep on making them. And then you're going to basically weave them together. So when you make the bar itself, there's a band in the middle, a pink band. You make another bar, same thing. And then there's an additional pink band that connects those two together. And so that's like the general structure of the bracelet. And then of course you fishtail along the sides. So that's what I mean by bars. And so in this case I'm going to be using 29 black bands for my centers of the bars. And it doesn't actually matter what color you use for these, because they're not really going to be seen, as you just saw in my bracelet. Next we got 6 bands per bar half. And so what I mean by a bar half is, like, if we look at this first bar here, we got half of it's black, half of it's white. So there are 6 black bands and 6 white bands that make up the bar. And of course there are a bunch of different bars in the bracelet. So in my bracelet I used 15 bars. And so 15 bars, 6 bands of each color per bar. And so once I multiply that out, I got 90 tan bands and 90 brown bands. I'm going to be using tan and brown instead of black and white in my bracelet that I make on camera. And you might use more or less depending on how many bars you use. My wrist is pretty tiny, so you may end up using more than I end up using. Next we got 118 green bands. These are for the fishtail borders. So here I used pink, I'll be using green instead for my bracelet. And then 30 C-clips to kind of hold the center together as you make it. And then you'll need 2 to finish off the bracelet, obviously. So that's how many you'll like actually consume for this bracelet. So that's the bands, and you will need a hook of some sort. You can use a double-ended hook, or you can use just the regular hook they give you with the Rainbow Loom. Either one works because you're not going to need a ton of hook space. So I think that covers it in terms of materials. And so now we're going to get started. So like I said, the center of this bracelet consists of a bunch of bars woven together. And so I'm going to start off by showing you how to make a bar. And so I'm going to do that. So first you'll need your center band. So in this case, I'm using black as my center band. And I like to put a clip on this just to start off with. It's gonna make it a little easier if you put your clip on there now. And then just plop that on your hook as is. And then now you're gonna start adding your bands onto your bar. And so like I said, I'm going to use tan and brown instead of black and white for my bracelet. But you can do a gradient pattern like I did for this one. And I'll briefly explain how that works once I get to actually connecting the bars together. But I'm going to start off with my bar. So again, tan and brown. And I'm going to start off with tan. So to do this, I'm going to take my tan band, put it on my hook, and I'm just going to pull that black band through it. Put that black band back on my hook, and then I'm going to take this tan half, push it over and off my hook onto that black band, and then put the other tan half back on. And then after I do that, I'm going to flip it. So you can do what I do here and pinch and flip it. And if you have a double-ended hook that you're using, you could just, scoot it over to the other side. Either way works. And then you're going to add your other color. So now I'm adding my brown. So I'm going to put that brown on my hook, pull it through my black band, put the black band back on my hook, and then pull that brown half that's on my hook up and over the black band, and then put the other end on my hook. So, same steps as last time. And while you do that, make sure that you just leave this tan band alone. You're just working with your black band and the band that you're adding on. So as you can see here, we now have one of each color. Then you're going to flip it. So again, you can pinch and flip like I've been doing. Be careful though, because sometimes they will want to do weird things. Make sure that when you flip it, that you have your black band, your center band, and just one of each of your colors on your hook. If you got more than that, then it's possible this piece wanted to just come back on the hook, so make sure it stays off. And then of course add another tan, very similar to how we did before. So you're going to pull it through the first tan and the black, not the brown, leave the brown alone. You're going to put the black back on your hook. Then you're going to push this tan up and over your hook. And then put the other half of the tan back on your hook. And then flip it. I'm going to flip my hook this time since I can. And then add your brown in much the same way. So put it on your hook. Pull it through your brown and your black. Pick up your black again with your hook. Push the brown up and over. And then put that other end of the brown back on your hook. And so as you can see here, I got 2 brown on this side, 2 tan on that side. And we're just going to keep on going until we have 6 of each color on each side. So I'm going to do that real quickly. Again, just repeating the same steps that we've been doing. And it might get a little more difficult as you add more and more bands, because they will start to be a little more squeezed together on the black band. And so you'll want to be careful about that. Especially if you're pinching and flipping, because as you add more bands, there will be more bands that want to get back on your hook. So be careful that you only have 1 brown, 1 black, and 1 tan on your hook at a time. So at this point I have 5 of each. Oops. And then I'm adding on my 6th. Alrighty, so that is the 6th band. So you can see here I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brown bands and 6 tan bands. So now that I've added all of my bands that I need to add, I'm going to get this tan and this brown band off my hook and finish off my first bar. So to do that, I'm going to push this tan over the black band first and then the brown over it. So to do that, I'm going to pinch this brown band off my hook and push this tan band up and over onto the black band first. Put the brown back on. And then I'm basically going to do the same thing with the brown. And you can flip and repeat the same process, but since I'm too lazy to flip, I'm just going to take that brown, kind of push it over this black band, so just kind of pull it to the right, make sure it's over the black band. And then I'm going to pinch the black band and just kind of drop that brown band onto it. So now I've got just 1 black band left. And then next I'm going to take a clip and I'm going to clip it. And then now I have my very first bar here. And so of course, before we start connecting bars together, we're going to need multiple bars. So this is my first bar that I've completed, and I'm going to do another bar. So I'll set that off to the side for now. And then I'm going to start off my second bar, make the exact same bar. And before I do this, I just want to note one thing. We got to remember which color we started with previously. So if you remember, I started with tan, so I added my tan band first, then my brown band, and then alternated. And so whenever I make any subsequent bars, I'm going to always start with tan. So keep that in mind when you make your bars. So I'm going to briefly go off camera, make another bar, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to connect them together. Again, each bar is made the exact same way. Okay, I am back. I have finished 2 bars now, and I finished them the exact same way. They're the exact same thing. And I'm going to show you how to connect these 2 bars together. So first of all, I'm going to pick up one bar, and I'm going to clip a black band to this clip furthest to the left. And I'm going to show you how I'm orienting it first of all. So when you look at your bar, when you orient it before you're going to start weaving them together, you want your first color that you started with on the very bottom. So like I said, I started with tan. So tan is going to be on the bottom. And then brown is next, so I put brown on top. And you're going to want your bar in this exact same position when you line up your next one. So I got it in this position. And like I said, I'm going to take a band and clip it to this C-clip on the left. And that's going to be the band that goes between the 2 bars that zips them together. And so that's just hanging out there. And next I'm going to pick up my second bar and orient it the same way. And so as you can see here, tan on the bottom, brown on top. And you can kind of tell where you started with the tan, because first of all, this C-clip, if you were to pull it out, your bar would not unravel. That's the first thing. The second thing is you can kind of see on this end, where you dropped these bands up and over the black band. You can kind of see that a little bit. And so that's how you know how to orient it properly. So now I got these lined up correctly. Now I'm going to show you how to put your hook through here so that you zip these 2 bars together. And so I'm going to start by picking up a band from the bottom bar. Then I'm going to pick up one from the top bar, and I'm just going to alternate between the 2 until I've got the center completely zipped up. And so I'm going to set this aside just briefly to show you which bands you're going to be picking up. So again, here's the bottom bar. I'm going to turn it so you can see better this top row of brown bands. So if you look here closely, you can see, okay, I got these chain looking brown bands. And then I have these little brown bands that are kind of in between them. So these vertical bands going up and down. And so you can clearly see 5 of them. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is actually a 6th one. It kind of likes to hide itself away, but it's over here. And it's actually going to be this band right here. It's not really wanting to stick up, but if you just kind of stretch this a little bit, you can see it sort of hiding in there next to this tan band. So you're going to take your hook and you're just going to pick that band up. And if you pick it up, you can see it line up very similarly to these previous bands. So now you can see 6 vertical bands. So again, you're picking up this furthest right vertical brown band. And then I'm going to bring back my other bar. Again, make sure it's in the right position. And I'm going to turn it on its side so you can see its tan bands on the bottom. So you can see here, very similar to the previous bar. You can see 1, 2, 3. And then for this one, it's usually a little easier to see the 6th one. That's the one that you're going to hook. So you got those 2 there. And then as you may have guessed, you're just going to pick up each of these vertical bar bands until you've picked all of them up and you reach the other end. So looking back down at this bar, you can see, okay, well I got 5 left. I'm going to pick up this one closest to me. Look back up at the tan bar. Again, pick up the one closest to you, the 5th one. And then you just repeat that process until you get to the end. And make sure that you are picking up the correct bars. It should look something like this. You should kind of see it poke through that little V if you look at it head on like that. And then you'll know you've reached the end when you've picked up 6 of each color. So you can see down here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 browns on my hook and 6 tans on my hook. So I know, okay, I've picked up everything I need to. So now I've got that. And then you're going to take this black band that you clipped on. You're going to put it on your hook, kind of like this. I like to hold it this way. And then you're going to pull it through all of these bands on your hook currently. And one thing you want to be really careful about when you do this is that you don't accidentally grab any of the bands you're pulling through with your hook. So make sure only the black band stays on your hook and that you don't accidentally pick up like a tan or a brown band on the way. So I've gone through everything. And then the last step is I'm going to take that black band and just plop it onto that hook on the, or clip on the other end. And there we have it. We got our first set of bars seamed together. And basically you're just going to repeat this process until you get this center portion as long as you need it to be. And so again, you make another bar, you zip it up the same way, and then you keep on making bars this way. And when you zip it up, make sure that you do it the same way every time. So as you can see down here, I started with brown, and then tan, brown, tan, brown, tan. So when you do the next one, first make sure you line it up correctly. And second, make sure you start with brown and then go to tan. And so like I said, you keep repeating that until this has reached the length that you need it to be. And it's going to tend to be a little shorter than your wrist size once you finish it. Like you can see here, the fishtails kind of stretch this center bit out a little more than how it originally looked. So when you make your center bit, you'll want to make it about, I think, 1 or 2 bars shorter than your actual wrist size, because it will stretch out just a little bit once you add your fishtails. So keep that in mind. You can always add more bars later if you need to, so it's better to be a little short than a little long. And yeah, you're just going to zip those all up together until you get it the length that you need it. And I'll briefly explain how to do a gradient if you want to do a gradient version like this one. So if you want to do a gradient, you can see here I started with this blue and purple bar. So I started with blue, then I added my purple, completed that bar, got that all done. And then when I moved on to my next bar in my gradient, I started with the next color in the gradient. So I did blue, then purple, and then I started with dark pink and then light pink. Finished that up, and then when I seamed it up, I made sure it went, in the color order that I liked. So I did purple, and then pink that I was weaving together right in the middle there. And then I just kept going until it was all done. So that's how you can do a gradient if you're interested in doing a gradient instead of 2 colors. So like I said, I'm going to go off camera, I'm going to finish my entire center portion, and then I'm going to show you how to add the fishtails. Alright, I am back. I have completed my whole little centerpiece right here. It looks kind of funny with all the little C-clips jutting out of it. But yeah, this is what it looks like. And like I said, it will be a little shorter than your final bracelet ends up. I'm going to wrap it around my wrist just to show you how much shorter. So you can see here, I stopped about 2 bars short of having it wrap around my whole wrist. And just for like a length comparison, I'm gonna pick up my phone. So you can see it is about 2 bars shorter once I measure it up to my previously created bracelet. Alright, so now that we've got that all completed, now I'm going to show you how to put the fishtails all up the sides of your bracelet. And so we're going to start at the bottom, and the way I can tell what's the bottom, what's the top, is that at the top, on your C-clips, you should only have 1 band on your C-clip, but at the bottom, you have 2 bands attached to each C-clip. So that's how I know that's the bottom. And we're gonna put our fishtails on the sides. So to start off, we're gonna take our fishtail color, I'm using green, and I'm just gonna make a cap band on my hook. Take another band, pull it through, put the cap band back on your hook, so you have your cap band and that band you just pulled through. And then now we're gonna pick up our bracelet and start attaching these black bands. And so first we're gonna pick up the very bottom black band. So I'm just gonna grab that there. And since they're kind of tight on the C-clips, I'm gonna take it off the C-clip. It's a little easier to work with that way. So now it's on my hook. I'm gonna take a green band and fishtail it through. So I'm gonna pull it through the black band that we just got, through everything else. And since we're fishtailing it, I'm gonna pick up my outer 2 green bands. But I'm not picking up my black band. My black band has just been dropped onto that new band that we pulled through. So it should look something like this. And then before we pick up another black band, we're just going to fishtail through another band without picking anything up. So just fishtail through another green band, just like how you normally would. After you do that, now you're going to pick up your next black band. So there should only be 1 black band left on that clip. So you're going to pick that up. Now that you got that on your hook, you can just take this clip off. So it looks like this. And then do the same thing. Pull a green band through. And you'll pull it through everything on your hook, including that black band. But you're only going to pick up your outer 2 green band loops. And then as usual, again, you're going to fishtail on a band all by itself before you pick up your next black band. And then, as you can probably guess, you're going to repeat those steps all the way till you get to the end. So, like I said, grab a black band, fishtail on a band, pushing that black band off your hook down here. Then just fishtail on a band without picking up any black bands. And then you're just going to repeat that. So pick up a black band, don't pick one up, alternating all the way until you get to the end there. And when you do end it, you're going to end by, I'm trying to look at my previous bracelet here. Yeah, you should just be able to end like right after putting a black band onto a band. But I'll remind you of that and show you that once I finish up this whole side. So I'm going to finish that up off camera, show you how to end it, and then tell you what to do after that. Basically just repeat the same steps on the other side. Alright, so I'm back, and I've gotten to the point where I've added my second to last black band onto my fishtail. And I've also, I've fishtailed on a band, then put on a band without attaching a black band to it. And so now I'm just going to take my final black band, put it on my hook, take that C-clip off, and then pull the green band through everything. And then I'm not picking anything up, I'm just putting that other end of the green band back on my hook. And then so at this point you've finished this side. So you just take a C-clip and clip that green band. And so now you've finished one end with your fishtail. And it's fine if it curves a little bit like mine has. You can stretch out your bracelet a bit later and adjust that. But yeah, as you can see by it curving like this, your center bit does stretch out a bit because it's curving because that side just stretched out. And so now you can just flip it over and you add a fishtail to the other side the exact same way that you added your other fishtail. So you can rewind the video, go back to that if you need to refresh yourself on how to add your fishtail. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to add my fishtail to this side of the bracelet, show you how to finish it, and then that'll be it. So I'll go do that and I'll come back. Alright, I'm back. Like I said, I have made my fishtail all the way across the other end of my bracelet. Same exact process as my first fishtail. And I stopped at the same spot. I stopped right before the last band that I have. And I have just fishtailed through a band, not connecting a black band. So I'm just gonna put this band on my hook, pull my green band through everything, not picking anything else up, and then clip that green band. Alright, and it should have, fixed the curving just a little bit by adding your second fishtail. But if you do have a problem, like mine is still curving just a tiny bit to the left, then what I do is I just kind of pull my fishtail a bit. Like it's curving to the left, so I'm pulling my left fishtail out just a little bit to fix it. And that should straighten it out a bit. Because what's happening when it's curving is that the center bands that go through the middle here, the little black bands that I used, they're really tight on one side and really loose on the other, so that's why it's curving. And then on to finishing it. So finishing it, pretty easy. You just take your clip and clip it to your cap bands on the other side. So I got one there. And then I'm doing the bottom one. And now you have your bracelet. So that is the Basketcase bracelet. I hope you guys enjoyed. Love to see any pictures you guys got on Instagram, so you can tag me in those if you'd like. I try to like all of the pictures that I'm tagged in now that I'm back. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you got any questions, feel free to ask below and I'll answer to the best of my ability. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.